All right, do we have a surprise for you? Today we are going to talk about peak performance, how to not only perform at your best, but also how to do it under pressure. You're not going to want to miss this one.
Welcome to The Richie Show, a personal development mastermind. Richie is an entrepreneur, speaker, author of In Spite of the Odds, and he's addicted to motivating, inspiring, and sharing the valuable information he used to accomplish his dreams so you can accomplish yours.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about how to perform at your peak, how to perform at your best, and how to perform at your best under pressure. That's key, under pressure. So the first thing is, before we even dive in to peak performance and performing at your best and under pressure, the first thing is this: you got to know, what is your why? It's critical. What is your why? Without a why, your why is really, it's going to pick you up when you're down. It's going to pick you up when you have obstacles. When you have adversity, your why is going to be the one that picks you up, that brings you up. Because there's going to be times when you're trying to perform at your best, whether it's at work or on the sports field, whatever it is that you're trying to perform at your best at, things are going to go wrong, and you got to know your why. You got to know why you're doing what you're doing. And see, I've had the pleasure of learning from an organization, and I've learned that there's 5 whys. There's 5 whys as to why we do what we do and why we want to be our best. And I think these hit it right on the money. Right on the money. So I'm going to share these with you, okay? The first why is this. The first why is freedom. Financial freedom. We want to be free. Stress-free. We want financial freedom. The second thing is this: time. Right? So a lot of us, most of us, trade time for money. So we go to work, we spend time, we get money. We trade time for money. We trade time. And so we want more time. So the first one's freedom. The second one's time. The third one is status. So we want status. We want to drive the nice cars, be in the nice house, have the nice things, be a member of the nice country club. That's status. I want to be able to show what I've done. I want to be able to show what I've done. All right. The fourth thing is health. So we've got health, right? So, maybe I have a health issue and I need to make money. I need to reach this goal to take care of this health problem. So it could be health. And then the last one is legacy. So maybe you've been a part of a family that didn't have much money, and you want to change the legacy, and you had trouble growing up as a kid, and you want to change the legacy for your kids. You want to build a legacy. And so I've learned over the past 6 months to a year, I think already, maybe 6 to 8 months, that these 5 things, that everybody falls into these 5 categories. Everybody pursues to be their best for peak performance from these 5 things. So we've got freedom, time, status, health, and legacy. So I want you to take a minute to figure out where you fall in. Where do you fall in? See, I'll never forget when I first got into the business world and I started my first business. I didn't have a why. I woke up every day and I worked hard. But every time I got really, really hard, maybe I'd stop for the day. Maybe I'd take a break. It's different now. I know my why. I absolutely know my why, and I know my purpose. I know my purpose. I have the opportunity to travel the country speaking with kids, speaking with adults, speaking with corporations, and helping them achieve peak performance, helping them overcome obstacles. I know, it's the most rewarding, fulfilling feeling in the world to step in a room with 1,700 people and have the opportunity to help people believe in themselves and, more importantly, achieve goals that they think are impossible. I found my why. And I know what category I'm in. I absolutely know what category I'm in. So I want you to take a minute and really think, what category am I? Financial freedom, time, status, health, or legacy? What category are you in? And then once you know what category you're in, why? What is the purpose? What is that purpose for you? What is going to be fulfilling for you? What will be fulfilling for you? For example, for the legacy, that's simple. If you what will be fulfilling for you if you go to work every day, and let's say you're in sales and you've got to make some cold calls, and cold calling's tough. It's hard. You're going to have to face rejection. Massive amounts of rejection, massive amounts of the fear of failure. That's the hardest part in sales. It is the hardest part in sales. And so I'm going to talk about a process to get through that in another podcast. But you've got to know what your why is. So when you get into the office and you start experiencing that feel of failure and you don't want to pick up the phone to make that call, you got to think about my kids. I want to build a legacy for my kids. Or if it's time, I need more time to spend with my kids. I need more time to spend with my family. I need more time to do the things that I find fulfilling. Or I need freedom. Or I have health concerns for myself or in my family. Or heck, I just like nice things. I want a Ferrari, a Maserati. I want $1 million house. There's nothing wrong with that. Nuh-uh. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. So the first thing we got to figure out, and we've got this here, is we got to know our why. And we've got to figure out which category of why we fit in. So take a second and really hone in on what category you're in. All right, cool. So let's hop into the good stuff now. Let's hop into the content here. So first off, we know what our why is. We know what drives us. And now it's a simple formula, guys. We got to plan, attack, and then win. Plan, attack, and then win. I know that sounds easy, but I'm going to break that down for you here, okay? The plan is this, and I talk about this over and over and over again, but it's, what is your goal? What is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish at your peak performance? Whether that's being the number one sales professional in your organization, becoming an entrepreneur, writing a book, being a movie star, whatever it is that you want to do, whatever your goal is, you've got to write it down. You've got to have a vision and clarity. It's got to be clear. If it's not clear, it's not going to work. It's the most frustrating thing in the world when I have I have someone send me their goal and it's like, what? What is that? You got to be clear. You've got to have tremendous amounts of clarity. You got to be clear on what you want. And it's so frustrating because you got to be clear. So in the planning stages, you got to be clear. You got to know what you want. You got to be clear. And you got to know what you want. In regards to the attack phase, we've got this goal, and we've got to put together a plan. And that plan is going to be part of the goal. So you have your goal. So for example, your goal is to write a number one bestseller. All right, you've got the goal. Now, what's your plan? What are your action steps to achieve that? And the first thing that you've got to do is just figure out, number one, what is the first step? Because most people, they think all over the place. They go nuts. They don't think about the first step. They think beyond the first step, and then they never do anything. So the first thing is you got to do the first step. And I'm going to circle around here. All right, so then we have attack. And you got to attack. You got to do. We all know it that you have to do it. You can't just write it down, but you got to attack it. You got to attack it. And then you've got to refine it. Test and measure. You've got it. You've attacked it. You see what works. You see what doesn't work. You refine it. You know, I like using sales for an example because as an entrepreneur, I'm a salesperson. Every entrepreneur is a salesperson. I hate when people say, I'm not a sales. Every entrepreneur is a salesperson. If you're not generating revenue, you don't have a business. If you're not generating revenue, you don't have a business. So every entrepreneur, every person is selling every day. Whether you're selling your kids, your significant other, your boss, your employees, you're selling all day. Grant Cardone wrote a great book. It's Sell or Be Sold. And all day, you're either selling or you're being sold. You're either selling or you're being sold. Think about that. So you better get good at selling. But okay, let me use selling for an example here. So you have a sales process. Let's say you've planned. Your goal is to be the number one sales associate in your organization. That's a great goal. Now you have a date on that and you've got all kind of clarity, but I'm just using an example. But let's say, that's what you want to do. You want to be the number one sales professional. And you're putting together a plan. All right. So you've put together a sales process, for example. Let's say you've put together a nice sales process and now you've got to attack it. You've got to attack it, and then you've got to refine it. So you see what works, test it, refine it, and then you win. You plan, you attack, and then you win. You plan, you attack, you get results, and then you win. And then you come back and you plan, and you attack, you get results, and you win. It's all about testing and refining. Right? Because, we could take some time to put together that sales process. I could take as much time as I want to write this book, but I had a lot of people read that book before I even launched it. I wanted it to be tested. I wanted it to be good. I want people to love it. I wanted it to be a number one bestseller. When it comes to testing, don't be afraid of pain. Don't be afraid of pain. A lot of people are afraid of pain. Oh, I don't want to test it because I don't know what people are going to think. What if it doesn't work out? It's a loser mindset. It's a loser mindset. You got to plan it and you've got to attack it. You got to go all in and then you got to test it and then you got to refine it and then you're going to win. So I'm going to plan. I'm going to write down my goal. I'm going to put together a plan and I'm going to just do it because if I don't, it'll never happen. So at least I'm going to try and I'm going to fail more than likely, but then I'm going to refine. And then I might fail and then I'm going to refine. And I'm going to test and I'm going to refine and I'm going to test and I'm going to get better and I'm going to get better and I'm going to get better and then I'm going to win. Then I'm going to perform at my peak. And you know what? I'm going to continue to plan and I'm going to continue to attack and I'm going to continue to win because I want to be the best. I want to be the absolute best. And because I know this, I know for a fact that there is always somebody better than me. And when I look at success and where success comes from in sports, in work, in sales, in business, it's from practice. But we've got to have a plan. And then we're going to practice. And then we're not going to care what people think of us. We're going to get better at it. And we're going to get better. And we're going to get better. My presentation, my speech to corporations today is much different than it was before. It's much different than it was a year ago. It's way different. It's way better. I rock a room. I had fear in the beginning, but now I'm just continuing to plan. I'm writing a new goal, and I'm attacking it, and I'm refining it, and I'm refining it. Peak performance. And I'm never satisfied. Never satisfied at all. As an entrepreneur, as somebody who wants to win, as somebody who wants to achieve my why, I'm never satisfied. I want you to really, really think about your why. And that's really what this is about, is what is your why? And to perform under pressure. How do we perform under pressure? I'll never forget running out of the tunnel in front of 102,000 people at Alabama. And when I ran onto that field and I had to catch the ball, talk about performing under pressure. 102,000 people just in the stadium. That doesn't include on TV. So how do we perform under pressure? Well, it's simple. It goes back to planning and attacking. And when I mean attack, I'm talking about practice. Practice, practice, practice. Preparation. How do we practice? When we're attacking, how do we practice? We practice it, we test it, we refine it. We test it, we refine it. We test, that's practice. Whether it's in sports or in business, you're testing and you're refining. So how do we perform under pressure? We gotta be more prepared. That's it. I'll tell you what, when I'm not prepared and I gotta go up on stage, it's been a long time, but I remember the days. And I was scared out of my mind. I mean, just scared to death. But now I'm so practiced, it's so refined. I can go up on a stage in front of 2,000 people. I'm going up on here in front of 4,000 people, and I'm just gonna smoke it. Because I'm practiced. I know exactly what people are looking for. I know what my event planners want. I know how to make them a hero, right? And so when I go to an event, I got to make my event planner a hero. I've got to change the lives of 4,000 people because they're making an investment in me. They're making a big investment for me to go in and help an organization overcome an obstacle. Management change to help people reach their peak performance. It's critical. It is critical. So how do we do it? Simple form, you guys. Plan. Got to have your goal, and you got to have your plan. Then you got to attack. You attack it, you test it, you refine it. Attack it, test it, refine it, and you win. But before you do any of that, you got to know your why. I really challenge you guys to know your why. Freedom, time, status, legacy, and health. I'd love for you to comment below and mark in what your why is. I want to hear about your why. And if you want to take it a step further, I always want to hear about your goal. Because then I can hold you accountable for it. I'd love to know what your goal is. So feel free to put your goal down as well. Look, I want to thank you for being a part of this podcast. And I hope that you can leave a review here on iTunes or wherever you're listening to this podcast. Leave a review and let others know what you're learning and how I can continue to grow and help other people learn as well. Help other people be successful, reach peak performance, overcome obstacles, and be their absolute best. Be their absolute best under pressure. If you're interested in learning more about me as a speaker, feel free to go to richiecantardici.com. Also, check out my book, #1 bestseller, In Spite of the Odds. You can find it at Barnes & Noble, Amazon. If you just Google In Spite of the Odds, it'll come up. I want to thank you so much for being a listener, listening in today. I want to hear about your goal. I want to hear about your why. I want to hear about how I can help you perform at your peak and perform under pressure. Thank you so much. Have a great day.